Welcome back, everyone. So, our today's session is going to be on organizational structure. So, at the end of this session, you should have a good enough idea of IT governing committee, roles and responsibilities of the senior management and the board of directors, IT organizational structures and responsibilities. So, these are typical IT organizational structures: segregation of duties within IT, auditing IT governance structures and implementation, IT governing committees. So IT governing committees, so they should have a good enough understanding of the IT strategy and how to manage the steering levels. So it's a governing, so it is over the steering. So from a strategic point, the IT governing committee should have a good enough understanding that okay, this is going to be my strategy. And when I talk about IT strategy, it is generally for some period of time. You would have in an organization an executive level steering committee to handle the IT issues. So IT issues, hardware, software, upgrades, downgrades, so all those kind of issues, it would be handled by the IT steering committee. So what are the roles and responsibilities of the senior management and the board of directors? This I would, expect everyone to pay good enough attention to it, because there are generally questions around this. Questions of course are not straightforward as to ask okay, what is the roles and responsibility of board of directors, no, but then there are questions around this which would test your understanding of this. So board of directors, just understand one thing. So board of directors is at the top for an organization, and so board of directors should be aware of the information assets and their criticality to business. So in case there is a server at some organization, so board of directors should have an awareness, okay, why is this server critical to business? Because board of directors are accountable and liable body for the organization. Senior management, so post the board of directors, you have the layer of senior management. So the senior management is nothing but the people who will implement the security governance and will define the strategic security objectives. So they will first define, okay, fine, this is going to be the security objective, and they will ensure that they have a proper security governance in place. So the information security council, so that will be driven by the CISO, and it will CISO will actually have a IS policy that is implementable and auditable, and this committee will comprise of senior personnel of other departments. Senior personnel of other department need to be involved because they will also have their inputs from an information security perspective from the holistic organization level. So at the end of the day, they are also responsible for their activities. So from a holistic perspective, those things will also come in. So CISO basically will ensure business objectives and the security activities are aligned. So I cannot have a business objective which says that yes, I need to be PCI DSS compliant because I am going to service the PCI DSS kind of a market, and I do not have PCI DSS compliance or PCI DSS architecture framework inside the organization. It won't go hand in hand. So CISO has to ensure that these things go hand in hand. The IT steering committee, so it will basically review the IT plans, it will review and approve major acquisitions of IT. So suppose I had a system from where I would possibly want to go for SAP GRC or SAP production or something of acquisition of a SAP kind. Yes, that has to be approved by the IT steering committee. It will monitor the projects, it will monitor how the projects are progressing, approve the sourcing strategies. So if I have third party vendors coming in and sourcings are going to happen, so it would approve that, and it would implement enterprise wide IS program, information systems program, and everything it would actually go back and report to the board of directors. So IT organizational structure and responsibilities, so these are not holistic, these are from a typical structure, and these are some of the IT roles and responsibilities. So you would have possibly have a system development manager who would be working on the new systems, project management, they would plan and execute the IS projects, help desk. So it's kind of a desk which I think most of us are accustomed to because when someone handles a technical query, so that is the place where it goes to. End user. So end user is actually the person who uses the business application. That's the end user for the operations perspective. A user is a generic term. End user is specific to that person. End user support manager. So IT department and end user liaison. So they would basically, the end user may not be an IT savvy person. So they would actually form the bridge between the IT and the end user. Data management, it would actually look after the data architecture. Quality assurance manager would look after the quality assurance activities. Information security management. So this ideally it should be separate from the IT and it should be headed by CISO. And a proper importance needs to be given to this function in an organization. Vendor management, again for the vendor management purposes and in managing the supplier chain and the suppliers. Operations manager looks after the operations personnel from a computer perspective. Control group. So control group actually will collect, convert, and control inputs. Media management. So they will actually record, issue, receive, safeguard all programs and data files. Data entry. A data entry person would be responsible for entering the data. System administrators, so they would be IT system rules. They would be setting the IT system rules. They'd be reviewing it. They'd be testing it. Database administrators, so they would be designing, defining, and doing a proper maintenance of the corporate database structure. Systems analyst design systems based on user needs. Security architect, they would evaluate security technologies, design security aspects of the network topology. System security engineer, so they would provide technical information systems security engineering support. Application staff, so they would be developing and maintaining applications. Infrastructure staff, so they would be looking after the system software including the OS. And network management, they would be responsible for maintaining the network infrastructure. So segregation of duties within IT. So how is that segregation of duties done? So segregation of duties, basically it should be done for custody of the assets, authorization, and recording of transactions. So these are the three basic areas where segregation of duties should be done. So to say, A, a person A should not be the same person who should have custody of the assets, who should be authorizing the assets, and who should be recording the transactions. Say access management, so it should not be the case that he is the person who is authorizing it, he is the person who is recording the transactions, and he is also the person who is keeping those assets. Segregation of duties. So segregation of duties actually from a transaction authorization. So that is the user department, as I spoke about. So that transaction has to be given by the user department. Custody of assets, that is the data owner. And access to data, authorization forms. So suppose in this example, if we are having an access control management system, so maybe the access control management system is maintained by the security department. And the user would be the person who would be filling up the form, and his senior or the tower lead actually would be authorizing the form, and it would actually go to the security team for the authorization, and then the chain would follow. So that there the segregation of duties would happen. In case due to some reason you don't have a proper segregation of duties, so as an auditor, one should actually look for the audit trails. So one should actually see that the person who has given the rights is not manipulating the rights or is not storing the rights. So those things have to be taken care of. In case there are, so those should be defined as an exceptions. It should look for transaction logs, should look for supervisory reviews in case whether reviews are happening on RAWs, and also in case there are some independent reviews which are happening, which is out of the department kind of a thing. So our next topic is auditing IT governance structure and implementation. So potential problems which comes in while having an IT governance structure and implementing it, which an IS auditor should understand actually, is excessive costs. So costs may not be controlled. Costs are not controlled while implementing a governance structure. You would have budget overruns. Why this would happen? Possibly the project is running late. You wouldn't have a proper adequate training which has gone in. The staff might have been inexperienced. So when the IS auditor reviews such governance documents, it should actually see what are the IT strategies, plans, and budgets. It should look for security policy documentation. Where is it documented? What is the security policy of the organization? Where is it documented? Job descriptions. How are job descriptions mentioned? What is the HR manual? How onboarding, offboarding happens? QA procedures. What are the quality assurance procedures? How were they maintained? So with this, we come to an end of today's session. We'll catch you again in our next session. Thank you.